Okay, I keep my starter in the fridge most of the time. I just leave it in there. And I make my bread with a leaven, so I just leave it in there and I only feed it when I'm down to almost nothing and I need more. That's all I do. So I'm gonna take a tablespoon out of here, put it in my bowl because I'm going to start some bread. So I don't even measure it. It's about a tablespoon. I just have a spatula. I just take about a tablespoon and put it in my bowl. I have a bowl with a lid because I need to let this sit overnight. So that's not quite a tablespoon, so I'm gonna scoop some more. Sometimes I do a little more. It's not a perfect science, but right about a tablespoon. So let me show you what I've got in here, maybe. Okay, I have about this much in here. Probably more than a tablespoon, but that's good. Okay, so right here, this is what I'm doing. This night before 11, tablespoon sourdough starter, a cup of unbleached flour, and half cup of water. Room temp. My house is fairly cold, so I did a little bit warmer than room temp. This is my half cup of water. Pour that in. I'm not really picky about tools in the kitchen, except I do love this thing. Just a Danish dough whisk, I believe it's called. And I like to stir the water into my starter before I add the flour. And then the only rules for the flour, you just want unbleached flour. The chlorine bleach will kill yeast, so you want to use unbleached. Okay, once that's all stirred in, then I added my cup of flour. It's just this one's unbleached, all-purpose. Sometimes I use bread flour, unbleached also, and you'll just end up with like a shaggy kind of dough. Then during the summer, I don't have any issues, but during the winter when my house is cooler, I like to put this in a warm spot. You can put it up on top of your refrigerator if that produces heat up there. Sometimes I'll put it right on the counter above the dishwasher if I run the dishwasher that night, because that warmth helps it grow. And that's it for now. Okay, lid on. You want to maintain that warmth. Keep it nice and warm in there. And then I am running my dishwasher, so it's going to sit right here above my dishwasher for overnight. Good morning. We are going to now open this. This is our leaven. See how nice and bubbly it is. We are going to add a cup of water per the recipe. So 1 cup water. I like to add my water first again and stir it into the leaven. And using this. Probably you could use a KitchenAid. I never have, just because this is the way I've learned how to make it. But especially if your KitchenAid bowl has a lid, that would be helpful. So just scraping all the sides, getting all of this pushed down in here, and then we're gonna add the flour. Now dumping in 2.5 cups flour. And stirring that into this. It'll make a shaggy dough again, and then we're gonna let it sit. So I will show you in 1 second what that dough should look like. At this point, I'm done with my dough whisk, and so I just will take a spatula and get whatever I can out of here just to leave in the bowl. Let's see, I'll show you closely. Okay, and then this is what your shaggy dough should look like. And then just tuck it away, again in a warm spot if you can. It just helps it grow better for about 20 to 30 minutes. So about 20 to 30 minutes. And then we'll be back. Again, that's with the lid on. Another great place to put it is in the oven with the light bulb on, just the light bulb, if you need more warmth. Okay, it's now been sitting 30 minutes. I'm doing half a tablespoon of salt. I have another recipe I follow when I do artisan bread and you add a little bit of water at the same time. So I like to add like maybe like a tablespoon. It makes it easier to squish the salt into it, and you literally use your hands and you squish it and squish it through and squish it through and turn it and just keep squishing it through. And see, I even found some flour there, so I'm going to fold some parts over, incorporate that in. Just really try to mix it in, and you are supposed to use your hands for this part, so enjoy. You can wear a glove if you want to. And now I'm going to put the lid back on, and it sits for 2 to 3 hours. It's just okay. Then put the lid on it, let it sit for the first rise, which is 2 to 3 hours. It's just going to depend on how warm it is. I'll show you what mine looks like at the end. I am putting mine in the oven with the oven light on so that hopefully mine will be ready after about 2 hours. Typically during the summer, it'll only need about 2 hours. During the winter or when it's cooler, it'll need about 3 hours. At this point, we're going to knead. Now, before I take it out of the bowl, I wet my fingers and I lift up one side, turn it, or fold it and then turn. Lift the other side, fold it and turn. Same thing, if I need more water on my hands, dip in that bowl. This for me just makes it easier to get out of the bowl too, because I'm building up a little bit of tension, and this is the only time we knead our bread. This is it. So then you can tip it out on here. If you need a spatula, you can use a spatula. I didn't need one just now. And then I use a bench knife. This makes it nice for scraping because it's a very sticky dough. So I'm going to do just a little bit of kneading to kind of build up some good tension and roll it. Okay, then I can scrape this all up with it, kind of form a little bit. And then I'm going to cut this in half. This will make 2 loaves. And since it's sticky, kind of push it apart as you do that. And then same thing, I dip my fingers, kind of lay it out, fold it over and over and roll it up until I get a smooth surface and drop it in my greased bread pan. A little much, maybe a little much water there. I find the rolling kind of gives it some really good smoothness. There we go. And then same thing for the other. It's not going to stick to the saran wrap. There we go. And then just let it sit for another 2 to 3 hours. I will not put this in the oven because I have to run some errands and I want it to be, I'll be back in 3 hours. So if you were going to be gone longer than that and you needed more time, this is where you can use the refrigerator to slow down the proofing process, and you could put it in there for longer, overnight if you need it or whatever. Okay, here we are, almost 3 hours later. Looking good. These are the loaves. I don't want to overproof them, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the oven on, preheat it, and put these in. Okay, snipping to allow the steam to release, and throwing them in the oven. Aren't they so beautiful? And then I like to tip mine out right when they come out and keep them on a cooling rack just so they don't get sweaty and soggy. So there we go. Now just wait for them to cool enough to be able to cut them.